You're writing songs, you're making music, you're doing the artist thing. Maybe you're even doing all of this by yourself. Well, why in the world would you ever pay someone to be a producer then? Chogmaso Hoshifo at Daleshack. I am a record producer and engineer here in the Nashville area. I've been here for about 4, maybe 5 years working in the music industry, although only the last year and a half or so has been as a purely independent producer and engineer. But I have 5 reasons why you need a record producer. Now, before you go crazy in the comments and try to say that this is some big scheme to get you to hire me, it's not. I want you to hire a producer that's right for you. And that may not always be me. But here's the thing. Every artist, in my opinion, needs to work with a producer. Even when I started as a songwriter and as an artist, I've gone into studios with producers before, and my songs came out better for it. They came out far better for it. And you can see that evidence if you go back and look at my discography of the stuff that I've released, some of which is old and not so great anymore. But the songs that I started working with someone took a huge step up and were elevated so much because I worked with someone else. Now, before I get into the 5 reasons why every artist, myself included, need a producer, first we have to understand what is a producer. There's 2 main types of producers out there, and there's not really any clear verbiage or words to name each type, but we'll do our best to describe them. Now, the first one is maybe the one you're thinking of right off the top of your head, which is kind of that traditional style producer that takes a song from a demo and elevates it by going into recording studios, hiring musicians, works with you along the process. They're in person. And that is absolutely one type of producer. They're going to be working on genres that are more acoustic instrument driven. So the folk oriented genres, stuff, well, like folk or rock or country or blues or jazz, things like that require typically bigger studios. That is going to be the type of producer that handles those types of genres and might be the type you're looking for. That's the type that I find myself under when I'm both producing other people and as an artist myself. My stuff lends itself to those types of needs. Now, there's the other type of producer too, which is rising in popularity, and that is the producers that work in much smaller spaces and are doing program type genres. So things like R&B or hip hop or pop, or, a lot of your indie stuff that happens in bedrooms. You have those producers, and they're absolutely producers. They're kind of the evolution of like the beat maker type thing, right? They're going to be doing a lot of virtual instruments and a lot of co-writing, which is really cool. And I've got a lot of friends that live in that space, and that's absolutely another type of producer. And if you're in those genres, that's the kind of person that you would look for there. So you have these 2 main types of producers, but in either world, in any of those genres, there's really, I think, 5 universal truths, at least, that will help you understand why you need one, because you do. So number 1, the first reason, outside perspective. That is so huge. When you write your song, when I write my music, I get so wrapped up in this is what it must be, right? This is the way I wrote it. This is the way I heard it in my head this whole time. This is the song. Notice how I said this is the song. Not this will be the song, not any other form of that. This is the song. And once you get that solidified in your mind in that regards, it's really hard to step out of that and change it. But if you bring in a producer, they will be able to have that outside perspective and help you take your song and say, this is cool. We like this. This is good. Now, how can we maybe help make it more commercially viable? Because if you're trying to turn your music into a business, you have to some extent, play to the people that are going to be listening. You have to make something your customers are going to want. So a producer can help with that outside perspective and say, okay, this is really cool. The verse, the bridge, the chorus, this is really cool. But, the second verse, we need to change this. Or maybe the bridge, we need to change this. Because even though it's even though it might be cool, it's not going to work as far as a business move. It's not going to work in the sense of people wanting to continue listening to your song. Now, if you're only making music as a hobby, right, and just for the fun of it, maybe you don't need this reason. Go ahead, make your music, do whatever you want to do. But if you're trying to make a business out of it and you're trying to make your living as an artist, having an outside perspective and being willing to accept criticism in a constructive way and being willing to maybe change your songs to make them more commercially viable is really important. And having that outside perspective to help you see where that needs to happen is so vital. And number 2 is really similar to that, but it's on the emotional side of things, right? We get so wrapped up in our minds, in our songs. We get such a personal attachment to it. We get this idea of it's my baby, right? You've heard that phrase, I'm sure, that we don't want to change anything. It's ours. You know, this is me, and that's fine. But you're going to have to let that go. You have to let it go at some point. You either let it go now with a producer who can maybe help you elevate your song, or you let it go eventually when you release it to the public and now people can listen to it and view it whatever way they want to. A producer is there in part to help you separate a little bit, just a little bit. Not that you won't be close to your song, but that they can help see the areas that you might be emotionally attached to but aren't helpful for the song as a whole. And so it is similar to that outside perspective, but they don't have that personal emotional bias that will hold you back from seeing new creative visions for the song. It's not about making the song worse. Commercially viable is not a bad thing. Commercially viable just means that you can actually maybe make some money with it. And if there are things in your song that are just not commercially viable, then, you know, maybe you should let that go if you're trying to make money. That doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It doesn't mean it makes your song worse. It doesn't. In fact, sometimes it can make your song better because it relies on things that we're used to and familiar with in a sense that will help your song become more catchy or will help your song become more easy to listen to, right? So a producer can help separate that emotional bias a little bit because they certainly won't have it, not the same way that you do. They didn't write your song unless, you know, it's one that you co-wrote it with. But even then, they're probably going to be a little less emotionally attached to the message than you are. And that is a good thing to have on your side. Now, number 3 really comes down and is especially useful if you are working in one of the roots-oriented genres like country, like rock, like folk, and that is connections. Connections are super, super important. And if you're a songwriter and artist, especially early on, you may not have that yet. You may not know who to call if you need a mandolin part. Right. So I'm talking with an artist right now. We're going to go in and make some demos here in a week or two. And she specifically wanted mandolin on her song. And she's like, well, I don't know anybody. She's like, I've got a guitarist lined up to record guitar for this. Awesome. Cool. She's got somebody she wants to work with. But what about these other parts? She thought about maybe a fiddle at one point. And as we're talking through this, you know, if she doesn't know those people, then what's her options to get it recorded? Yeah, she could throw out a blast on Facebook and, you know, try, you know, using social media and Instagram or whatever. She'd go down to Broadway and listen to people, and those can be good tools. But how much more effective is it if you have somebody in your corner working on your music who knows musicians and has already vetted them and already knows, hey, they're right for this project? Most of your producers are going to have a list either in their phone or on paper or just in their head of musicians they can call for any given position at any given time with different kind of flavors. So you might be doing a jazz thing and, you know, I probably wouldn't bring in a honky-tonk piano player, right? But I might know several. However, you know, if I was doing the honky-tonk thing, I might not call my jazz guy, right? But your producer will have several different people in all of those typical key positions that they already know, already trust, know how they work, and know what kind of vibe they're going to bring to the song. Because each of them are going to have a slightly different take, right? That's the beauty of music, is they're going to have those different flavors. And they can kind of help tailor the flavor of your music to the musicians that they bring in to help bring all of that into the culmination of a project and a song that you want to release. And so having those connections, super, super important. And all of that is to say that connections are not exclusive to that type of producer, because producers that are doing more of the program genres absolutely have connections that are beneficial too. I just see this particular thing as being slightly more on the traditional producer side. Now for number 4, something that is more obviously beneficial coming from the program producer side is the idea of skill sets that they have that you may not. For instance, if you are a pop or an R&B singer, and maybe you've written these songs on a guitar or a piano or something like that, you may not have the skill set to be able to go into a DAW and start bringing out virtual instruments and know how to program drums and drum loops and bringing in cool sounds and ideas for the finished product. Well, that's where a producer comes in, right? So if you're sitting down with a producer, whether you've written a song or you're sitting down to co-write the song, having those extra skills that you don't have is invaluable. Because you don't have them. You can't do it, right? You don't know. It's not to say you can't go off and learn, but they already have that skill set that you need. So go work with them, right? Be the artist. You don't have to be everything. In a world where it feels like as an artist, you have to be everything, right? You got to be the marketer. You got to be the artist. You got to be the content creator. You got to be all of these things. You don't have to be the producer. You don't have to know all of that stuff. You may have to pay someone to do it, but a producer is one of the first and one of the most important people that you should be paying, because they can bring in a skill set that you don't have the time to learn or the mental space to focus on trying to figure out. And they have years of experience doing the exact thing that you're looking for. And chances are they're probably already going to have a lot of that stuff dialed up by the time you get there. So having skill sets that you don't have is a really, really big reason why you should hire a producer for your next song. Now, if you're one of the few people still watching at this point in the video, Chogmushki, thank you. I appreciate that you're here. And if I can ask one more thing from you, it would be just to give me a little encouragement by hitting subscribe or hitting like, or even better, saying something down in the comments. Tell me what I've missed. Tell me the thing that I've not brought up about production that you think is the most important thing in the whole world. I want to know those things. I want to start a conversation with you. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Now, to round this all out, at number 5, we have music is meant to be shared. Start early. The whole point of music is to be able to share an emotion, to share a message, to share a feeling. Why wait all the way till the end to try to share it with someone? Share it early. And who better than someone who possesses all of those other attributes and qualities and is going to be committed to helping you elevate your song, make your song better, bring it to life, get it in front of more people. Who better than a producer who is in your corner to help you, to share that raw emotional message with? They're the best person. They're the best person you could ask for. So share your music. If you want thousands of people to hear it, you still have to start with the first person. So choose your first person wisely. And if you choose a producer, going back to connections, they may have connections to help you get your music further out there. If nothing else, they've gone through this process before with other artists and maybe with their own music. They know what it looks like to get music from where they're at, where you're at right now, to getting it in front of people. They've seen that process. They have experience with that. And they may know some tips and tricks on getting it in front of more people than you do. And so a producer can help in a myriad of different ways. Not just the hard skills that we've talked about and the soft skills that we've talked about, but they may have other like marketing tips, because they too are kind of trying to be a little bit of everything to a certain extent, right? We all kind of are in this digital world, but they may have some ideas. So who better to share your music with first than them? And the earlier you share your music, the more you talk about your music, the more people will want to listen. So get someone else on your side who's going to be in it the same way that you are in promoting your music as well, because they put work in on it. They want to see it do well. They want other people to hear what they've done on it. They're going to help you. So help them help you. So all that being said, if you are at this point and you still don't think you need a producer, I don't know what to tell you. But tell me why. Why do you think that you don't? Even if you're in a band, let's say you're in a 4 or 5 piece rock band, even there and you self-produce, I still think you need a producer. Why? Because you're not you're not exempt from all of those other things. You're not exempt from having emotional ties to your songs and not being able to look past it. You're not exempt from having an outside perspective. Sure, maybe you should co-produce it. Maybe you should do that. I've co-produced some of my stuff. I've fully produced some of my stuff. But let me tell you, you're going to be better off with getting help from someone else who can listen, that isn't in there playing an instrument, that isn't so close to the project that they can't see the forest for the trees. So even there, get a producer. Just try it and do your best to find the right one for your music, right? You want people on your side, in your corner, that are the right people for the right job. And once you choose them, let them do their job. If you're trusting them enough to pay them, let them do their job. Don't fight them on it. Don't fight them on it. Let them have their chance to help you bring your music to life. They're there to help you. Don't fight them. So with all that being said, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found something in this really inspiring to go find a producer if you don't already have one, or take this as an opportunity to go tell the producer you're already working with, thank you. And if you want to work with me, you can find my contact information down below in the comments, but that's only for the right fit. Well, until next time, it's been daleshack. Thanks.